Have you ever opened Hulu at night and wondered if the glowing rows of titles were hiding something deeper beneath the surface? Imagine stepping into a world where every film carries a forgotten legacy, a buried truth, or a vanished rumor waiting to be uncovered. This is not just a list of top movies. This is a journey into danger mystery and lost cinematic stories. Tonight we reveal 10 films that refuse to die. Which one will haunt you long after you finish watching? Number 10. Prey 2022. Prey arrived with the reputation of being a bold reinvention of a legendary sci-fi franchise. Many expected a familiar action formula, yet the film surprised audiences with its quiet intensity and emotional strength. The story follows a young Comanche hunter who dreams of proving herself worthy as a protector of her tribe. As a mysterious and ruthless creature descends upon the wilderness, she steps into a battle that tests not only her survival, but her identity. Every forest shadow feels alive. Every silent breeze feels heavy with threat. The world becomes a living maze of danger and destiny. But here is the twist. Industry whispers suggested that the studio hesitated before releasing the film. Executives were unsure if a stripped-down historical thriller would connect with modern audiences. They feared the slow atmospheric pacing would clash with expectations of explosive action. Some early test screenings reportedly left the studio nervous because the film felt too quiet and too intimate, yet the creative team refused to change the vision. Behind the scenes, the production pushed through harsh weather, unpredictable conditions, and demanding cultural accuracy. Cast and crew fought to protect authenticity, from language to traditions to weaponcraft. The harsh shooting environment tested stamina and patience, yet the dedication paid off. Critics later praised the film as one of the most daring franchise reinventions in years. Over time, Prey became a cultural milestone, earning respect for representation and tension-driven storytelling. It proved that atmosphere can overpower spectacle. On Hulu, it stands like a quiet flame that refuses to fade. When the final frame dissolves, you are left with one truth. The strongest battles are fought in silence. Number 9. The Guilty, 2021. The Guilty arrived on Hulu with the weight of an intense reputation, a film known for nerve-tightening tension, a movie that locks the viewer inside one room, yet unfolds a sprawling nightmare of fear, guilt, and suspicion. The story follows a troubled emergency dispatcher who receives a terrifying call from a woman in danger. He cannot reach her. He cannot see her. All he has is a voice on a fragile phone line that feels like a thin lifeline between life and oblivion. Some whispered that the studio doubted the film, a single location, a single character for most of the runtime. Executives reportedly feared audiences would reject such a minimal approach. Early reactions behind closed doors suggested the film was too dark, too suffocating, and too emotionally heavy. But the creators stood firm, believing the claustrophobia was the entire point. Behind the scenes, the pressure was immense. Every scene hinged on vocal precision, timing, and emotional weight. Crew members later explained that even a single mistake in rhythm could break the entire illusion. The lead actor reportedly performed long, uninterrupted takes to preserve authenticity and raw tension. Critics later praised the performance as one of the most gripping showcases of emotional collapse. After release, the film gained unexpected power. Viewers discovered that the story was never about the caller. It was about the dispatcher, his guilt, his past, his unraveling. On Hulu, the film lingers like a shadow that refuses to lift. When the credits fade, you cannot escape the feeling that some of the darkest battles happen inside the mind where no one else can see. Number 8. The Revenant, 2015. The Revenant stormed into the world with a reputation of being one of the harshest cinematic journeys ever filmed. From the first frame, it feels like a battle between human will and the cruelty of untouched nature. The story centers on a frontiersman left for dead in the frozen wilderness who begins a desperate pursuit for life, hope, and a sense of justice. The icy world breathes like a living enemy. Winds cut like blades. Rivers crash with fury. Every moment becomes a test of endurance. But here is the twist. Rumors spread that the studio panicked as production spiraled into unpredictable chaos. The shoot stretched on for months in freezing regions where equipment failed and tempers grew thin. Crew members left the project due to extreme conditions. Reports circulated that the director insisted on shooting with natural light, which caused delays and financial strain. Executives feared the film might collapse before completion. Behind the scenes, the cast faced grueling conditions: real, icy water, heavy furs, temperatures so brutal that breath froze in the air. Crew members described the shoot as a war between human determination and an unforgiving landscape. Despite the suffering, the authenticity stunned critics who praised the film as a landmark in immersive filmmaking. The Revenant went on to claim global acclaim and shaped a legacy defined by survival obsession and artistry. On Hulu, it remains a monument to perseverance. When the story ends, you are left with a question that chills the soul. How far would you go if the world itself tried to bury you? Number 7. Black Swan, 2010. Black Swan arrived with a reputation for hypnotic psychological terror, a ballet drama that transforms elegance into nightmare. The story follows a disciplined ballerina whose pursuit of perfection fractures her identity and unleashes a downward spiral of paranoia and hallucination. The ballet stage becomes a battleground. Mirrors distort reality. Rivals blend with fears. Every twirl becomes a threat. Every spotlight feels like judgment. Some whispered that the studio feared the film was too unsettling. Executives reportedly worried that its surreal approach and intense psychological weight would alienate mainstream viewers. Early private screenings left insiders uneasy because the story refused to play safe. It was raw. It was intimate. It crawled under the skin. But the filmmakers refused to soften the vision. Behind the scenes, the production pushed the cast through relentless training and emotional strain. Rehearsals were bruising. Nights were long. The atmosphere carried the same tension the film sought to portray. Crew members later admitted that the line between performance and psychological exhaustion sometimes blurred. Critics eventually hailed Black Swan as a masterpiece of artistic obsession. The film grew into a cultural phenomenon, a symbol of the cost of perfection, a reminder that ambition can twist the human mind into something unrecognizable. On Hulu, it stands as a haunting journey into the pursuit of greatness. When the final shot fades, you are left wondering, what part of yourself would you lose in the quest to become perfect? Number 6. Arrival, 2016. Arrival came to Hulu with the reputation of being one of the most thoughtful and daring sci-fi films of its era. At first glance, it appears to be a story about contact with mysterious visitors from the skies. Yet step inside the film and it becomes something deeper and more human. The story follows a linguist brought in to decipher the strange language of newly arrived vessels that hang silently above Earth. Instead of lasers and explosions, the film offers silence, patience, and haunting uncertainty. Every scene feels like a heartbeat held too long. Every moment carries the weight of a world on edge. But here is the twist. Some whispered that the studio feared audiences would not accept a quiet, cerebral story during a time when action-heavy blockbusters dominated screens. Executives wondered if a film built on language, emotion, and time would connect with viewers seeking spectacle. Early insiders reported that the film was nearly softened to fit traditional expectations, yet the director refused. The creative team fought to preserve the original tone, believing that mystery thrives in silence. Behind the scenes, the pressure was immense. The team worked tirelessly to design an alien language that felt ancient and intelligent. Visual effects crews spent countless hours crafting creatures that appeared both gentle and terrifying. Actors pushed themselves into emotional territory that left them physically drained by the end of each day. The atmosphere on set was described as intense, focused, and filled with a sense of responsibility to create something meaningful. When Arrival finally premiered, critics praised it for its tenderness and its bold exploration of grief, unity, and the nature of time. Audiences slowly discovered that it was not just a sci-fi tale, but a meditation on choice and fate. On Hulu, it has taken on a new life as a film that refuses to fade. When the final image dissolves, you are left with a single truth. Some stories do not seek answers, they seek understanding. Number 5, Parasite, 2019. Parasite entered the world with a reputation that spread like wildfire, a film that blended suspense, wit, and social commentary with a sharpness that viewers could feel in their bones. The story follows a struggling family that slowly infiltrates the life of a wealthy household through skill, charm, and quiet manipulation. At first, the plan feels harmless. Then, the atmosphere shifts. A shadow falls over the bright mansion. Hidden truths rise. Tensions tighten until everything erupts with a force that leaves viewers breathless. But here is the twist. Some whispered that the studio feared international audiences would hesitate to embrace a film that broke genre rules at every turn. Executives reportedly wondered if a story that mixed humor, dread, and tragedy could truly reach global appeal. Early notes suggested trimming or simplifying the structure. Yet the filmmakers stood their ground. They knew the unpredictability was the power. Behind the scenes, the mansion set had to be built from the ground up. Every wall, nook, and staircase was constructed with symbolic meaning. The cast rehearsed intensively to perfect timing, rhythm, and emotional escalation. Crew members later revealed that the editing process was one of the most delicate they had ever witnessed because every second carried narrative weight. The film demanded precision. Precision delivered. After its release, Parasite achieved a level of acclaim few films ever reach. It broke barriers, won global awards, and sparked worldwide discussion about class tension and human desperation. Yet the film never felt like a speech. It felt like a mirror. On Hulu, its legacy continues to grow as new viewers discover its layered mystery and razor-sharp storytelling. When the final moment ends, you cannot help but ask yourself, what secrets hide behind the walls we think we understand? Number 4. The Shape of Water, 2017. The Shape of Water emerged with a reputation for being daring, whimsical, and emotionally fearless. It tells the story of a quiet, isolated woman who discovers an otherworldly creature held captive in a secret government facility. Their connection grows in silence through glances, gestures, and shared loneliness. The muted world around them feels heavy with rules and cold authority, yet their bond becomes a spark that refuses to die. Every scene radiates with gentle wonder mixed with rising danger until the story transforms into something larger than life. But here is the twist. Some whispered that the studio feared the film was too strange, too artistic, and too unpredictable for mainstream audiences. Executives reportedly questioned whether viewers would embrace a story that blended fantasy, espionage, and emotional longing. Early test reactions were said to be uncertain, yet the creative team refused to tone it down. They believed in the heart of the tale and pushed forward. Behind the scenes, the production was an intricate dance of design, lighting, color, and performance. The creature suit took extreme effort to develop. Actors trained for slow, elegant physical movement that gave the story a dreamlike rhythm. The crew worked long nights to create a world that felt lived in and magical at the same time. The tone demanded absolute balance. One wrong step, and the entire illusion would crumble. When the film arrived, it achieved something unexpected. It touched viewers across the world. It sparked debates about love, freedom, and humanity. Critics praised it as a bold work of imagination. On Hulu, it now sits as a gentle yet powerful reminder that stories shaped from vulnerability can reshape an entire genre. When the final water ripples fade from the screen, one question follows you into the quiet. What if the creatures we fear are the ones who understand us best? Number 3, The Menu, 2022. The menu arrived on Hulu with a reputation for being dark, witty, sharp, and unsettling in a way that audiences did not expect. At first glance, it appears to be a stylish thriller set inside an elite dining experience reserved for only the wealthiest and most powerful people. Yet as the story unfolds, the film transforms into a razor-edge exploration of obsession, ego, and the strange hunger for perfection that drives people to the brink of madness. The chef at the center of this world has prepared not just a meal but a reckoning. Every course becomes a story. Every dish becomes a confession. The tension builds like a quiet storm gathering strength. But here is the twist. Some insiders whispered that the studio worried the film was too bold for mass audiences. Executives reportedly debated whether viewers would understand the layers of satire hidden beneath the tension. There were early doubts about its tone, which blended dread elegance and dark humor. Some feared that the film was difficult to categorize and therefore difficult to market. But the creative team pushed forward, convinced that its unpredictability was the source of its power. Behind the scenes, the production demanded flawless precision. The kitchen set was constructed to operate as a real functioning workspace. Actors trained with professional chefs to master the physical rhythm of food preparation. Crew members revealed that maintaining the visual harmony of each scene was a constant challenge because every plate, every gesture, and every lighting choice symbolized a deeper meaning. The film required elegance and chaos to exist side by side. When the menu premiered, it sparked instant conversation. Viewers debated its message, its symbols, and its commentary on entitlement and artistic sacrifice. Critics praised its fearless storytelling and its ability to shift tone without losing emotional weight. Over time, it became a modern cult favorite. On Hulu, it continues to attract new viewers who discover its chilling atmosphere and sharp perspective. When the final scene fades, you are left with a haunting question. In a world built on expectations, how far will people go to satisfy an appetite that can never be fulfilled? Number 2, Nomadland, 2020. Nomadland entered Hulu with the reputation of being both quiet and monumental. A film that speaks softly yet carries emotional weight heavier than steel. The story follows a woman who sets out on the open road after losing her home, her job, and the life she once knew. She becomes part of a growing hidden world of modern nomads who live in vans, travel across vast landscapes, and survive through temporary work and small communities connected by hardship and hope. The desert skies stretch endlessly above her, while the asphalt becomes both a refuge and a reminder of everything she has lost. But here is the twist. Industry whispers claimed that some executives feared the film was too subtle and too introspective for mainstream viewers. The story had no traditional villain, no explosive conflict, and no glossy glamour. Early viewers behind closed doors reportedly wondered whether audiences would embrace a film built entirely on realism, empathy, and quiet observation. Yet the director maintained the original vision, refusing to heighten drama or force spectacle. The creative team argued that the silence was the message. Behind the scenes, the production blended professional actors and real nomads to create an authentic world. Many scenes were improvised in real locations with people who had lived the nomadic life for years. Crew members traveled with limited equipment, capturing the natural beauty and loneliness of the landscape at unpredictable hours. The filming process was described as intimate, unpredictable, and deeply emotional for everyone involved. Nomadland went on to achieve worldwide acclaim and earned recognition for its raw humanity. Viewers discovered that it was not a film about loss, but a film about resilience. A story about finding new purpose in the spaces where society stops looking. On Hulu, it stands as a gentle testament to the strength hidden inside ordinary people. When the final scene settles, you are left wondering, what does home truly mean when the world keeps moving without you? Number 1, The Silence of the Lambs, 1991. The Silence of the Lambs holds a reputation that has lasted for decades. A psychological thriller that reshaped an entire genre through fear, tension, and chilling intimacy. The story follows a young agent drawn into a deadly hunt for a hidden killer. She must turn to a brilliant yet dangerous figure whose manipulative mind twists every conversation into a quiet battle for control. The corridors feel cold. The lights feel dim. Every encounter becomes a step deeper into a maze of terror and revelation. The film grips the viewer with an intensity that refuses to loosen. But here is the twist. Some insiders whispered that the studio initially feared the film was too dark, too disturbing, and too unconventional to succeed. There were early concerns that audiences might reject a story built on psychological dread rather than graphic spectacle. Reports claimed that test screenings left some executives unsettled because the tone was unrelenting and the tension never eased. Yet the filmmakers stood firm. They believed the rawness was the source of its power. Behind the scenes, the production required absolute discipline. Actors underwent intense preparation to capture the emotional depth demanded by the story. Sets were designed to feel oppressive, yet grounded in realism. Crew members later revealed that maintaining this atmosphere day after day created a sense of emotional heaviness during filming. Precision was essential. Even the smallest gesture had to carry meaning. When the film premiered, it shattered expectations and became a groundbreaking work that influenced countless thrillers for years. Critics hailed it as a masterpiece. Audiences felt its presence long after leaving the theater. On Hulu, it stands as a monument to psychological storytelling, a film that proves the mind can be more terrifying than any monster. As the last scene fades, a final thought lingers in the quiet. Sometimes the deadliest truths are the ones hidden behind the softest voices. Every film on this list carries more than a story. Each carries a shadow, a rumor, or a legacy that refuses to disappear. These movies remind us that hidden truths often lie beneath the surface, waiting for the right viewer to notice. Which of these films will you watch first? And which one will stay with you long after the credits fade? Like the video. Subscribe for more deep dives. Share your thoughts in the comments below.